Welcome in point three listeners. We are here to give our instant reactions on the X-Men 97 finale that we just got done watching in our Discord. Holy smokes. That's all I gotta say right now. That episode took everything out of me and I loved it. I want to chef's kiss it right now. Just early reaction.
Yeah.
What did you guys feel?
Guys, get this real quick. Silver Samurai, Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange. I don't know if you guys caught this. I missed this. Carol Danvers was a Prime Sentinel. Did you guys see that?
No.
Yeah.
I think
Carol Dan 100%. 100%.
I saw Wanda and Colossus on the ending.
On the wall. Yep.
on,
Black
now I
Panther. Yeah. We got to peep this. Black Panther and the Dora Milaje, and Daredevil, Cloak and Dagger, Omega Red, Darkstar, Crimson Dynamo, Psylocke, Cypher, and Alpha Flight. We had some Easter eggs for the blue area of the moon. More insight into the Magneto Protocol, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Polaris, Peter Parker, Mary Jane, Flash Thompson, like Forge's list of X-Men, Apocalypse, and then Madeline Summers. Holy cow.
They hit us with a boom looking for this. They really did.
Dude, Morph coming through is Mr. Fantastic?
That was, oh my god, so cool.
Y'all. Oh my god. Is this not the perfect show?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Blueprint. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had to throw that out there. Wow.
Yeah. I popped off hard a couple times. Very hard. Not just from the cameo standpoint. It was just they made the X-Men cool, man. And it's been so long since we've had a full team of the X-Men each feel fantastic and cool in their own ways. Like everybody in this episode, from Sunspot, Jubilee, Nightcrawler, Jean, Beast, Forge, Storm, everybody involved felt important in their own ways and like they needed to be in there.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we've ever had a series or a movie do it as well as X-Men 97, to be quite honest.
In all areas.
10 episodes.
10 episodes, but think about this though. This is something we always talk about with MCU, right? How did the project do for itself? What did it do for the greater universe? Did it expand it? Did characters get the spotlight? I never would have thought in a million years at the end of this, I'd be like, yo, Jubilee is actually kind of legit. Like before, I was like, Jubilee's butt. But Jubilee was actually like on the map for this. Oh my gosh.
I mean, she basically gave Bastion a death blow.
Yeah.
I know he recovered in a way, but even if you notice at the end of it, he doesn't fully recover from it. So it just goes to show you that each X-Men is needed in the team. They're there for a reason. And man, Bastion, we were talking about it in the Discord watch party. Bastion feels
menacing.
Fitting.
High evolutionary vibes. Just from the feel of the, like, how much he wanted to put his ideals on other people.
Yeah.
I give you that, and they did that quick, because when Bastion was here, I was like, ooh, am I looking beyond Bastion to see if they do an onslaught, which I really thought was going to happen, which I was like, here we go, it's happening. And then I was like, damn, it didn't happen. But
here he goes.
I know. I was like, this is it. Yeah, it just didn't. But I think Bastion was still great for a final boss of a season. And I think we kind of touched on it. Like, you carry over Sinister, you carry over Magneto, introduce the new character, which they did for next season, and then have a resolution for a main antagonist for this series. my anime fans out here rejoice because that Bastion evolution into his final form, to his final moments, he was just looking good,
Amazing.
sounding good, doing good.
Yeah.
Shout out Morgan.
Yeah. Ultron wishes.
Ooh.
Ultron wishes that he could be Bastion. Man, Dylan coming in with a great question, though. And I think we can talk about this a little more in depth. Do you feel that this Disney Marvel project hit all the right marks for a successful season finale? And I'm going to personally say yes. I think it's been a minute since we've had a series that really stuck the landing fully. Well, no, not too long. I think Loki did pretty good. But I don't know if it hit all the right marks, if that makes sense. But this one, I don't think you'd have to be very nitpicky to be like, no, this didn't work. I think.
Let me throw this out here in Spider-Man. I want your thoughts on this too. I don't know another series that I've seen where through 10 episodes, which is funny because we were talking about, Daredevil being 9, where it's like, what's the sweet spot for that? And I was like, and you hear 10, you're like, damn. But the build that they had with this isn't necessarily peaks and valleys, but I always love when some of the best shows or series, they do this, right? They start high. There's a slight little dip. They go higher. There's a slight, they go higher. A lot of shows that we're watching now, especially in the MCU, it's one linear path of here's the beginning, here's the end. Everything kind of builds to that big end moment. But we had moments upon moments upon moments in this entire series. And ultimately for this finale to just, man, that was nuts. It was nuts. Job well done. Job well done. Stick the landing is the best way to say this.
I fully agree. It's just they had there's like one episode that didn't really hit in the season. It was a good episode, but it was like compared to the rest.
4?
Yeah. It was a Jubilee one. As much as like
Yeah.
Jubilee grew on me, I thought it was a cool like episode, but with everything else going on between like 3 and 5, I'm like, damn. Like I see why they did it. But this show hit that finale mark so well. And I can't wait for season 2. As someone who never watched the full thing of like the original animated series, I didn't think I was going to get this hooked on the show. And I know for a fact I will be finishing the original animated series before season 2 comes out now. So I hope it comes out in.
Hold on.
Definitely will
Hold
come
on.
out in 2025, I believe. But I agree with that. X-Men 97 did what If dreamed of doing 100%. I did not like the pacing of What If, and that was definitely a show that had its freaking like good episodes, bad episodes, super good episodes again, and it just kind of like threw me off a lot of it.
The biggest difference here, though, and you could say that it's because it's the first of its kind, really, which I'll say, knowing that in Marvel Animated Universe now exists and it is standalone, and there will be some MCU and some not. I wholeheartedly believe, and I hope that they take this and they run with it. And at first, I think we were kind of looking at like, yeah, we saw Silver Samurai. Yes, we got our Spider-Man cameo. Yes, we saw Cap in small moments. But it's funny because even in our chat, we were talking like the Avengers are just standing there watching. They're working with the president to be like, yo, you got to do something about that up there, right? It's kind of a different take and departure of what you would expect from a live action MCU Avengers team. They'd be the first ones to be like, let's go. We got to go up there and stop it. Blah, 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 blah. Ultron can't do this. Blah, 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 blah. I could wholeheartedly see now if they really wanted to go the animated route and do X-Men versus the Avengers. Yes, please.
Yeah. And that's the thing with the cameos, because I've seen some people on, again, a very small minority of people on social media kind of talk about oh, the cameos are just there to get people, into the show. It's too much fan service, and it is fan service. But the thing with this is that, and it's kind of a constant gripe that we have with the MCU, is that the universe just feels so singled out
Mm-hmm.
and not, or better said, it doesn't feel fleshed out enough. But with what they did with the simple cameos, is you flesh out a universe super quick. You've now established that the Wakanda in this universe is known and speaks, between all governments. You've made it known that the Avengers work with the government here to try to really, make sure things go well. Silver Samurai is just in Japan, and Omega Red and everybody else is just there, still fighting for what they are as people. Again, you flesh it out super quick, and it's something that we haven't had in such a long time. So the simple fact that Daredevil just pops in and is stopping some looters stays
I
true to
love
his
that.
character, and and in the
Yeah.
universe that, what, he's here. Yeah, he's not a part of the X-Men show, but this is the consequence of what's going on in the universe, because the Prime Sentinels are here. He is now outgunned.
Yep.
It's a small thing that goes a long way. And yes, it is fan service, but it's done very well.
Very,
exactly-
very well.
Sorry.
Nope, go
It's
ahead.
exactly what Gunn is doing with Superman in 2025, and having like the already established world, and like Hawkgirl is going to be in it. We're probably going to hopefully see Supergirl, knowing that her movie's coming out the year after. And he said there's going to be a bunch of Green Lantern also. We'll probably get cameos of all them doing their things and give us the same feel, just to establish the world like what X-Men just did.
There's a really big difference now, and I'll be honest with you guys, I think this hits a lot more, especially for MCU fans, knowing that like it's tough to have an established universe and introduce characters and be like, how do they not know that this world ending event is happening? Right? There's always that big thing that goes on of like, how is this not the Avengers radar? How is this not on an X-Men's radar? Why isn't Wanda here stopping this? She's powerful enough. Would she want the Earth destroyed? Well, guess what? They're showing you in this episode exactly where these characters stand. And then you get more idea of like, if you are thinking why this person isn't here, little Easter eggs. Guess what? Wanda's off world somewhere. We don't know. That's why she wasn't here.
Under some rocks.
But even still, like, I wholeheartedly believe that the people that were surrounding this project from beginning to end, and I know there's some issues with Bo DeMaio not being a part, and all that kind of stuff that's separate, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in an upcoming episode at some point. But this is a great comment to kind of what I'm trying to say is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily back, although it is back for a lot of people, especially 97 fans. But I think without a doubt, its animation has entered the chat, not just through Eastern avenues. And we're talking anime manga, flat out saying Across the Spider-Verse was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not, but the style that it was done in and how it was done and paced, I don't think is something that you could just expand to scale and everything is going to be that way. It's very difficult and time consuming. Just follow how they're making that project. But this right here, X-Men 97, this look, this quality, this feel, this sound, these voice actors, everything about this is saying animation isn't just here, but almost is preferred to live action. Like, just think about that. There are people right now saying, this is something I would rather watch than anything that's going to come out in the MCU right now. That's nuts. And it's been weeks.
I was gonna say Spider Brando in the Discord watch party. I think you said towards the end of the episode, you can't watch a live action X-Men.
I did say that. Just I can't do it compared to like knowing what we got out of the show, all the themes, elements, like character designs, dialogue. It just doesn't compete to most. I'd say 80% of the X-Men live action movies. Days of Future Past is up there for me. I really, really, really enjoyed that movie, but I don't know. The show just does something else to you, like getting fully immersed into the animation side of it. And I know we did an episode a while ago of animation versus live action, and I was on the live action side. I think we might need to redo our own video.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that when the right project comes along and really shows what it can do, it's just it makes all the difference, all the world of difference. For example, I think Infinity War came out and Endgame came out, and it's something we've been saying for a while, but it kind of ruined the MCU for a lot of people, because now if everything wasn't like Infinity War and Endgame, it's just kind of bad now. But the good thing with X-Men 97 is this type of project is sustainable. Like this type of quality and animation and voice acting, kind of like what you were saying, this can be replicated into a a Spider-Man 98, a Fantastic Four animated series, any other animated series for whatever other superhero you want to give. It can be done and it can be kept up. And Infinity War just can't, because that's a special event of 10 plus years of storytelling. X-Men 97 just came out, and while it continued a story, in reality, let's be honest, it set up its own more than anything and introduced people to a lot of things. And I remember when Bastion first came out in his episode a couple weeks ago, and people were like, who the heck is this? Who the heck is Bastion? I don't know who this is. And then people started learning about him. And now people, and I think just look at us in our Discord party, how we're like, wow, Bastion is actually like a really cool villain. That you can do that. You can do that with the Hulk. You can do that with Spider-Man. You can do that with anybody you want. Daredevil, whoever. Pick and take their name, insert them in there, give them the X-Men 97 treatment, and you're going to have a lot more happy people being like, yes, Marvel's listening. Yes, thank you.
This has done wonders for fans of the X-Men, for fans of mutants, for fans. I mean, in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like this that has done the mutants justice. And what I think we've talked about this. For me personally, I think 4 or 5 of my top 10 are mutants for Marvel characters. I've never seen them done like this before. I just, you get that in the pages, right? And then they made an attempt at this the first time with the 90s during the glorious time that was, and you're just like, oh man, that's the best I've ever seen Cyclops. And then you see this and you're like, no, this is the best I've ever seen Cyclops. This is the best I've ever seen Storm. But they're just little details, and I wholeheartedly am backing this now. The people who are part and are making these projects, it's almost like they're paying homage to those that they watched when they grew up, right? And people say that they're just like, we're not trying to replicate what we saw in the 90s or the 80s. It's just ingrained in our DNA. So when we come up with original content and these things, you're going to feel those elements that we learned back then. But with today's capabilities, and technology is the best it's ever been. Stories have come out. We've seen so many things happen at scale that a lot of people know what fans don't want and what fans do want. And they're fans themselves who are behind creating these projects that are like, this is what I've always wanted to happen, and we just brought it to life. Like, how wild is that?
Yeah. And to your point of how they're just showing what's ingrained, do you look into how what this show references, not just in terms of comic books, but going outside of that, going into the fighting game genre? How, again, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit in some of the other chats about X-Men 97, but how big of an inspiration clearly the Marvel fighting games of the 90s were for this, like Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel superheroes. You know, even when it comes down to characters that aren't even in an X-Men, for example, Iron Man. Yes, I know that Iron Man costume is a comic accurate costume, but it's very intentional also that Iron Man costume is the Iron Man costume from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yep.
Like, and the moves that Rogue is doing,
Yeah.
how Magneto's coming in, those are all references to the things that they remembered and loved and were like, because again, it just doesn't stem from comic books. It stems from things like that when they were in the arcades playing the video games. And I think we
100%.
can include ourselves in it, seeing Magneto and Wolverine and, you know, team up with all your other favorite heroes. It's super cool. So when we see it on you know, on the screen now, it's like, wow, no, they get what we want and what we like. And it's just, it's cool to see.
What we don't like, 'cause they even had that episode of when they're getting the new suits. What are we getting? Black leather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice plug. Nice plug. Listen, we've talked about how many overall great things that have been included in these last 10 episodes. But for you guys, what was your favorite thing, or what really was a theme, music, art, fight choreography? What was something that stuck out to you that felt it was top tier, S tier, some of the best you've ever seen across any medium type of thing? And I'll kick it over to you, Hero, first. What was your thing?
I mean, kind of going to what Air is talking about, it's the fight choreography was just insane. I mean, it's been a long time since an animated series, a Western animated series, gave me the feel of like an anime in terms of its fight scenes and being like, you know, wow, just amazing that every time someone starts doing something. And I mean, in this episode alone, a beam clash. I never expected a beam clash in an X-Men show. And I geeked out hard, super hard, because it was so cool to see. I mean, Morph using his power as a character that in reality, nobody really cares about that much. A very obscure character, yet when they are using their powers, it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Turning into the Hulk and Sauron and, you know, all the other X-Men. And just when you're like, oh, snap, freaking Colossus is in it. And then they turn back into Morph and you're like, oh, wow, that was awesome. Yeah, the fight scenes at perfection.
Dude,
Spider-Man.
the animation was freaking crisp. But I'm gonna go with my top thing from the show was the dialogue. They really there's like I could watch an episode and be like, damn, I thought about that as a quote, or I thought about how important that line could be, like when I first watched the episode, if that makes sense. I think I said that like ass backwards, but there's so many quotable like lines throughout this entire show that really just get you thinking. And especially with my whole morality and duality and projects that have that I love. This had that between Magneto versus Charles versus their mutants versus the world, Bastion and like robots versus humans. It was just so dialogue heavy, and I really enjoy shows that are like that because that's what really hooks me.
I gotta go audio, music, score, those types of things. I can fit all of these times that I think of, like Storm's theme. Oh my gosh. Like you hear that piano start playing, and then the lightning, and it's a strike, and you're just like, oh, like it gives me goosebumps. Like I'm out here doing the rock thing to what it sounds like, but just the sound of their powers, and when they are fighting, like the hits, like it all blends so well, and they did such a great job of making it timely to where I feel like it was a subtle thing that elevated a lot of moments during the fights, during the dialogues, and it felt very unique to each character too. I think sometimes shows kind of get in, and just kind of duplicate their best across multiple characters. And you're like, but then you hear Cyclops with his beam, and it's like there's the short beams, there's the long beams, there's the more powerful beams. Just it's details when they layered these sounds over, all of these scenes and moments that they animated, and it's just that goes a long way for me in a lot of these shows. But that's what I've come to expect from a lot of the best anime, right? And the fact that I'm feeling that again from a Western animation, it's very surprising and very shocking. And the drama, I'll say this, the drama and the build that they use takes me back to like an Attack on Titan, to a Demon Slayer, to some of those where it's just breathtaking moments getting breathtaking sounds. That's my big thing, that I could watch this over and over again with my eyes shut and be like, this is a heat. Just that good.
Another thing.
Paired, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that paired with the dialogue. I was gonna go with audio for mine too, but I was like, I don't know. I've just every episode always just thinking about quotes. And
but dude, you could turn
them paired together. Oh, beautiful.
But I mean, that's the thing. Name another show to where you can mute the TV, put on subtitles, read it, and you're like, God dang, like that was just like, ooh, like, okay, Magneto, I got it. I understand. And then you hear him say it, but you're not watching anything. And then you see the blend together. I would be very hard pressed. Find me another show where you can do that for 9+ episodes.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing too. It's the themes that they portray throughout it, and how the little things come back, where Magneto has his amazing speech in episode 2, and then in I can't remember what episode it's in, but when she's like, yeah, Magneto was right. It's such a cool moment of how they bring up the themes again in little ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then also in more overt ways where, for example, you have Sunspot from the very beginning of the show, someone who is reluctant to be a mutant, to show off his powers and use it, to now at the end hitting a Frieza pose and being like, yeah, it's got flair with it, and going toe to toe with what is probably one of their scariest villains at that time in Bastion. It's so cool to see. And they don't slam you in the face overtly with it, but once you start thinking about it, you're like, oh man, his journey is actually very cool. Very cool. Magneto's very cool. Cyclops, Jean's with Cable. Him accepting that, you know what? No, my parents are great. Versus him being at the start very very distant from them. It's just, man, you can't name me a show like this that hits drama, feeling, excitement, and hype levels while still maintaining a good through line story. You can't name me another show like that. You can't.
No. One thing I just want to follow up on that with is, even with as much as they've done in this and advanced and developed, listen, I would love to do a study on this. When we talk about character development, this is a show that you look at for character development. Majority of these characters changed the core of who they were by the end of this series. Those are true changes that they're going to take with them, regardless of what time period they are in. They are forever different through these 10 episodes. That being said, there's still way more room to go.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't know
yeah,
how. I don't know how the heck season 2 is gonna go about. I mean, I do know because of, like what they set up, but like I'm not too familiar with the whole apocalypse storyline or what exactly happened of them going throughout time periods. But
that's the
man,
beauty of it. That's the beauty.
Get
oh
ready.
my, I need it right now. Or Spider-Man 98. I'll take one or the other.
So let's set the scene real quick. Do you guys want to talk about kind of season 2 setup and kind of what we think, or do we want to
I got
wait
one.
on that?
We could do that, but I got one question before we do any season 2 stuff.
Let's rock and roll.
How would you rate season 1 out of 10? Throw it off to Hero.
Oh God. This very well could change tomorrow. I just want to think on it a little more because I mean we just watched the episode, and I need to watch it maybe one more time. I'm
What
gonna
about
say
the finale then? Just the finale.
just the finale, 10. Yeah, 10 out of 10. And entire season, 9 out of 10. I just need to think a little more on the entire season, but I can confidently say the finale is a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I will go right now. I'm going to go the finale's a 10. The series is a 10 out of 10. However, I'm saying it's a 10 out of 10 simply based on an enjoyment factor and just going along for the ride of, with the knowledge that I do have. I can wholeheartedly understand those who are like, this isn't a 10 out of 10 because they crammed so many storylines into this. They left this out. There are some people that have wild knowledge and they see the gaps of the story. That's kind of nitpicky, but I guess I kind of do that with the MCU, so I can understand that perspective. For me, though, the only reason why I would say that this is definitely a 10 out of 10 is because of how it made me feel throughout, how much I want to see it, how much I thought about it, how much I wanted to talk about it, all of those things. That to me, I know this wasn't an event per se, and we kind of have left our highest rankings for event level things like in Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond, Infinity War, Endgame, those types of things. But I think that I can confidently say this is the first series for Marvel that I would put into a tier next to Infinity War, Endgame, Across the Spider-Verse, and those types of things that are not event level series or show. Like it was that good for me.
I like it. I would also say the finale is 10 out of 10. I'd say the series as a whole, 9.5 out of 10. It's very up there, but I feel like I'm lacking a lot of X-Men knowledge. So could be going up, could be going down, like you guys mentioned about where some gaps could be. But as someone who never watched the animated series, I'm in love with the X-Men now. I like just like how I've been on the Superman hype train. The X-Men hype train is starting for me too. And I got a couple Wolverine comics ready to be read. I'm excited to see what that entails.
Yeah. No, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. Dylan asking, do you think Sinister was dealt with too quickly? I don't think so. He lasted all 10 episodes, and let's be honest, he was always the more secondary villain, and he was going up against Jean Grey, so Phoenix Jean Grey, much less. So probably not. And also, they leave it very open-ended for him to come back. He can definitely make a return. Sinister is just one of those kind of villains that he's beaten once, but he'll come back. So yeah. I don't think that's one thing we need to worry about.
No, I don't think so. Him being kind of that shadow villain throughout the entire series, I think it was enough, but he didn't overstay his welcome. And in the ending, he had a moment, it seems, of like a villainous, like ha 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 moment, and that harkens right back to the 90s of like, I defeated you, and it's like, no, you didn't. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna run away. Like it just felt so 90s for how they dealt with Sinister, but I could see Sinister being that multi-series guy who's just gonna stay around until the very end, and then he's gonna have his big moment to where they ultimately overcome him for good. I was okay with Sinister though. I was okay with Sinister.
Yeah, Sinister's a pest. Like that's the thing with
Right,
Sinister.
right.
He's a pest. Like you beat him once and then he comes back and you're like, didn't I deal with you already? He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Before we finish though, I just want to take you guys back to this time last year. And not even, maybe 6 months ago. I think we were talking about X-Men 97 before we even had a release date on the series or had seen a trailer. I don't know if you guys remember, but we were not excited for this. Mainly because, or not excited, but we weren't as excited as I think we could have been.
Yeah.
Because one, we hadn't seen it. We only saw stills from 2 years ago on character designs, and we just weren't feeling too hot on it. And now, fast forward all this time, and we're like, yo, this is one of the greatest things.
My words.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think this is one of those for anybody that is watching, especially with what I think point 3 is kind of about, just to line up that with what we like to talk about. Give things a shot. It will surprise you at times, and you might end up finding your new favorite thing if you really come into something open-minded.
I'll agree with that. I remember when I bought these a long time ago, and this is when I was still posting TikTok videos on the daily. And I remember getting this when I was going through a Funko hunt, and I was looking at it and I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to be good. Like, I like mutants, but like 97, like, I don't know. I was getting the Funkos, and I was like, I don't know. Then the figures, and I was like, I want them, but to say that this exceeded all expectations that I had for this, and I think a lot of people had, blown away. I would have never, you could have told me this was going to happen. I'm like, yeah, right. There's no way I'd feel that way for a series that has nothing to do with the MCU. What? Biggest surprise of 2024. I think this will be the winner come the end of the year.
Ooh.
This will definitely be winning some point 3 end of year awards. I think we can confidently say that.
Deadpool Wolverine might have something to say about it.
Maybe.
Random thought real quick. Does this influence you guys in any way towards potential mutants in Deadpool Wolverine and or Wolverine himself, seeing how much we didn't get exposed to Wolverine in this series?
Yeah, I don't think the Wolverine's gonna bother me that much.
Okay.
But how I judge other mutants versus how I've seen them portrayed in this show, if there's any not like crossovers between them, but like character crossovers, I might be more judgmental now.
Good luck to whoever's playing Storm or Cyclops in the MCU.
Halle Berry. Coming right back. And James Marsden. Yikes.
Like
Stick
that.
to Sonic, bud. Sorry. Sorry. No offense, but Deadpool, please eliminate all Fox X-Men characters. All of them.
Every single one.
Love it. I think that's it, though. I think that's it. Do you guys have something?
Markham, that's a chat for another day. It's a bold statement.
It's a good combo, though.
Yeah, it's a bold statement.
That is.
Because that's one of those things, like I at least me personally, I feel like you're comparing apples to oranges a little bit. Not in a bad way. It's just one of those.
Both fruits,
Yeah,
tasty.
they're just very different. But again, we can talk about it.
This please come back for this live stream, because this will be the one thing when we get the Deadpool Wolverine that is going to be the biggest talking point, is going to be what version of Wolverine, why Hugh Jackman, and then ultimately what happens with them, in the movie and then beyond. That's going to be a great conversation. So Morgan, please join us for that. We'll keep you updated on it.
Yeah. But everybody, that's all the time we have for today. If you joined us on Discord for the watch party, thank you. If you're here on YouTube live right now, thank you. If you're watching this later on, thank you so much. We hope you stick around, subscribe. We'd love to have you. We do these kinds of things all the time. We do a live stream every week, Wednesdays, 9:05 Eastern Standard Time. We talk about MCU, we talk about DCU, we talk about movies and films and series, games, everything in between. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, make sure that you join us here. But until the next live stream Wednesday, gentlemen, you know this. There are 3 things that you need to keep doing. You need to keep watching. You need to keep reading. And you need to keep nerding out about the X-Men every single chance you get. Till next time, we will see you later.